Hello, welcome to Emerald Lake. It's me, Raven. I have the storybook up already. We're not going to start reading for a bit, but hi. Um, I thought I would put the name of it up. Last night when we were looking for some of the stories on the Deer Woman, I went trying to find some, and we ended up with stories the Iroquois tell their children. I kind of referred to it last night, and so we're going to read some of these. It's a little collection of them. They're a bunch of really short stories, and I think we could knock out most, at least, of these stories tonight. Hi, hi, Mad Max. My day's been, it's been alright. How's yours been? I seem to have a little bit of a frog in my throat, so excuse me a second. Very loud coughs off mic there. Alright. You're very tired tonight, Fetster? Well, you've been doing lots. Fetster's been helping me out with Discord so that we can get that going. Aw, that's better. That's nice. Well, I hope it's a good stream then. You enjoy this? Oh, yeah. My sleep schedule, it changes drastically when I'm streaming and I have to reset it. And like, normally I can manage just fine, but since I have to go on a trip and I have to leave early at the end of this stream days, that's part of why I canceled the stream on the 21st, because I'm gonna have to be able to get up early. I have to reset my schedule. Yeah, it's tough to get it back on track. Yeah. Well, I hope that we have a good stream tonight, and it's exactly as you were saying, Mad Max, that it's worth being here. It's better now that you're here for this stuff, and also so that it's worth having your sleep schedule messed up, Fetster. Hopefully you get more sleep tonight. We end the stream on a very soft, sleepy note, and then everybody can wrap everything up. Yeah, I hope you fix it too then. Alright, well, I think things. Yeah, so the overall book is called Stories the Iroquois Tell Their Children, and I'll read the little quick acknowledgement and forward, and then we'll move on. This is a little book that's collected of older stories. It's copyright 1917, so it is a bit older. Hello, Darkstorm Down. Very fair. I will be streaming tomorrow, and then that'll be it for a few weeks. I'm going away. I'm on vacation mode soon, but thank you for joining, and I hope you sleep well so you have lots of stuff that you do tomorrow goes well, and we see you another time. Yes, as Spencer says, get plenty of rest. Everybody get plenty of rest. But yeah, so this is a book collected together in 1917 by Mabel Powers, has the copyright, and I think it's just really fun. Oh yes, I also put my my videos up on YouTube. If you miss it within the first little bit, I make sure that they don't disappear, except for the very first ones when I had so many technical issues. But yeah, okay. stories the Iroquois tell their children. To all the children who ask how and why, especially those red children who see with wonder eyes, and those pale-faced children who yet believe in fairies, these stories are lovingly dedicated. YouTube link will be on my About page, and that's it for socials really so far, but we're doing more. Yeah, it is there. But it's the same name, Obsidian Reads, if you want to just pop over and type that in. The acknowledgement. Thanks. Have a great night. The acknowledgement says, if the red children had not welcomed the writer to their lodge fires, these stories the Iroquois tell their children could not have been retold. With one or two exceptions, the ideas found in the stories have been had from the lips of the Indians themselves. To Arthur C. Parker, Gawasowane, for his careful review of the stories and assistance in securing authentic Iroquois illustrations, and to the following storytellers who so kindly welcomed her to their lodges and told her stories, the writer is most grateful. The writer is Mabel Powers. Yesen no Wes, I think you'd pronounce that one. And it lists off all of these storytellers and their affiliations. So Edward Cornplanter, or Sosundoa, for Great Knight is the name, is Seneca Wolf. William Patterson, Gautre Huant, I think. Power Has Come Down is Tuscarora Deer, and so on. I will be messing up names, but we have Seneca Wolf, Heron, Bear and Turtle representation, Onondaga Turtle, Eel. We have Mohawk Snipe, we have Tuscarora Deer, Bear, Turtle, and Cayuga White Heron. Pretty sure that's all. Seneca Heron, Wolf, Turtle, Bear. Yep. Lots of representation from different areas. They've got lots of different storytellers that told the whole collection of these stories. And I will go ahead and be putting that link in the chat for you to find it if you'd like, as well as I'll be putting it in the YouTube description so that people can find it. I think it's a really cool resource to have found, and that's why I want to read some of it tonight. And then there's lots of illustrations, as the acknowledgement said, that were authentic. So there's that. And then I'll read the foreword, and then I'll change things to the specific story that we're on. Our fathers owned these lands of New York State. Once the Iroquois were great people. Their council fires burn from Hudson on east to Lake Erie on west, from rising to setting sun. Then white man come. He ask for small seat-size buffalo skin. He take larger and larger one till Indian have but small place to sit. Now we have little left but stories of our fathers. They too will soon be lost and forgotten, but a voice has come to speak for us. Yesen no Juez, I think, the one who tells the stories, will carry these stories of our fathers to Paleface. And then that's the author up above. But I'm not sure on the pronunciation, so that's why. She will help white man to understand Indian, Indian to be understood. She will have all men brothers. Indian's heart is glad that Yesen no Juez, our white friend, has come to us. She has good eyes. She see right. She like things Indian. She try to preserve them. Our old men and women tell her the stories told them many, many moons ago when little children. Yesen no Juez, write down these stories so our children and our children's children may read and know them, and so pale-faced children may learn them also. Indian tell these stories to his children to make them good and brave and kind and unselfish. May they teach pale-faced children how they should do. Again we say Indian is glad to have someone speak for him. He is glad to have someone write down the great and beautiful thoughts in Indian's mind and heart. We have spoken, Naho. We have the chief of Seneca Nation, chief of Onondagas, chief of Tuscaroras, chief on Oneidas, chief of Cayugas, and chief of Mohawks. And that's all that together. Then we have a little bit more listed, how the stories came to be, why I was called the storyteller, the little people, storytelling time, how the Iroquois give thanks, and a fire maker and a peacemaker. These are all introductory little snippets, but I'll be skipping along to the stories. Unless someone wants to have those read, we can also do those. It's basically explaining some of the significance of the stories, why we have the little people in the stories, why you had to be accepted into the group as the storyteller, this author that put it all together, and some of the significant things that go along with the storytelling times, like the fire and giving thanks. So yeah, that's all of those. But then we have each of these different stories. So I'm going to put those, the first one up. It's How the White Man Came. And it's very short, and all the rest of them will be very short as well. So we'll have very, very short chapters, just like a few tiny paragraphs each. And like the acknowledgement, some of the words will be jutting. This is from 1917, these translations. Sometimes I think that they were just very haltingly put together. But I'm going to run an ad quickly so that I make sure we have lots of time, because they're so tiny. I want to just run through as many as we can. Kind of a speed run of the stories. Okay. I will do that and then type out the next thing. We don't have death now, I don't think, but I have the keyboard set up for them. So you'll definitely be able to hear me typing, is what I'm saying. I'm a little curious. We have significantly low numbers for viewers. A little piece of me wonders if people heard the sort of halting grammar at the start and thought it was something malicious that I was reading. I hope not. But anyway, the first story, how the White Man Came. Here we go. Oh, it definitely is. And I have this collection that is put together, meant to be told as it said, for everybody. I mean, technically it said red and white, which means in the medicine wheel there's also yellow and black, and that's ignoring those peoples. That's kind of but they mean everybody. Yeah, they did, and got the blessing. It's just that it's so old, and so it sounds a little off, and it does continually refer to everybody as Indian or red and white man, and so this will be a ride, but it's just like some of our older European stories. They're gonna come off a little weird in some of these ways, but yeah, and they definitely gave their blessing, and that's why I wanted to read it. I wanted to be very clear, guys. The people that put this together fully supported this and fully supported all of us giving it. Even if I completely ruin pronunciations, I'm doing my best. And it is Iroquois. I should be alright to pronounce significant chunks, but we'll see. Here we go. How the white man came. Long, long before Columbus came to America, the red children were here. They were the first and only real Americans. From the Big Sea water on the east to the Big Sea water on the west ranged these children of the sun, as they called themselves. Happy and free as the sunlight and air about them, they ran through wide forests all their own, or plied their bark canoes up and down the streams. Then the Indian had a dream. This was long before Columbus dreamed his dream of the Western world. In his dream, the Indian saw a great white bird coming out of the east. Its wings were stretched wide to the north and south. With great strength and speed, it swept toward the setting sun. In fear and wonder, the Indian watched this giant white bird appear and disappear. He knew its meaning, and the Indian's heart was sad. Then the white man came. From the Big Sea water on the east he came in his great white-winged canoe. With one hand pointing to the Great Spirit, and with the other extended to the red man he came. He asked for a small seat. A seat the size of a buffalo skin would be quite large enough for him, he said. In the name of the Great Spirit, the red children greeted the white man and called him brother. They gave him the seat he asked. They gave him a large buffalo skin also, and showed him where he could spread it by their council fire. The white man took the buffalo skin. He thanked his red brother in the name of the Great Spirit. Then he began to cut the skin into many, many small strips. When the whole buffalo skin had been cut into narrow strips, he tied the strips together. They made a long cord that would reach over a long trail. In amazement, the Indians watched the white man while he measured off a seat as long and as broad as this cord would reach around. The small seat, the size of a buffalo skin, became a tract of land. Soon the white man asked for another seat. This time his seat took in the Indians' lodges and campfire. He asked the Indians if they would move on a few arrow flights. This they did. Then the white man wanted another seat. Each time it took a larger skin for him to sit upon. This time the skin stretched so far that it covered a part of the Indians' hunting and fishing grounds. Again the Indians moved on. Again the white man followed. Each time his seat grew larger until the Indian had a place but the size of a buffalo skin on which to sit. Thus it was that the white man came, like a great white bird that swept from the Big Sea water on the east to the Big Sea water on the west. The white man came, and he drove the Indian from the rising to the setting sun. And that's that short story. See how they're they're quick. They're little things, but I think they're really sweet. Definitely very poetic and significant in that one. The next one, just prepping it, is Why the Eagle Defends Americans. Oh no. I am repeatedly hitting slightly the wrong buttons sometimes on this new keyboard. Okay. Yeah. I mean, when you use the same words from the start to the end like that, and just a little twist, that's some of my favorite way to write my poetry. I love it. Alright, Why the Eagle Defends Americans. Many, many moons before the white man came, a little Indian boy was left in the woods. It was in the days when animals and men understood each other better than they do now. An old mother bear found the little Indian boy. She felt very sorry for him. She told the little boy not to cry, for she would take him home with her. She had a nice wigwam in the hollow of a big tree. Old Mother Bear had 2 cubs of her own, but she had a place between her great paws for a third. She took the little papoose, and she hugged him warm and close. She fed him as she did her own little cubs. The boy grew strong. He was very happy with his adopted mother and brothers. They had a warm lodge in the hollow of the great tree. As they grew older, Mother Bear found for them all the honey and nuts that they could eat. From sunrise to sunset, the little Indian boy played with his cub brothers. He did not know that he was different from them. He thought he was a little bear too. All day long, the boy and the little bears played and had a good time. All day long, the boy and the little bears played all day long and had a good time. Oh my gosh, my brain keeps glitching out today. All day long, the boy and the little bears played and had a good time. They rolled and tumbled and wrestled in the forest leaves. They chased one another up and down the bear tree. Sometimes they had a matched game of hug, for every little bear must learn to hug. The one who could hug the longest and the tightest won the game. Old Mother Bear watched her 3 dear children at their play. She would have been content and happy, but for one thing. She was afraid some harm would come to the boy. Never could she quite forget the bear hunters. Several times they had scented her tree, but the wind had thrown them off the trail. Once, from her bear tree window, she had thrown out rabbit hares, and she saw them coming. The wind had blown the rabbit hares toward the hunters. As they fell near the hunters, they had suddenly changed into rabbits, and the hunters had given chase. At another time, Mother Bear tossed some partridge feathers into the wind as the hunters drew near her tree. A flock of partridges went whirring into the woods with a great noise, and the hunters ran after them. But on this day, Mother Bear's heart was heavy. She knew that now the big bear hunters were coming. No rabbits or partridges could lead these hunters from the bear trail, for they had dogs with 4 eyes. Foxhounds have a yellow spot over each eye which makes them seem double-eyed, this explained. So that's why the foxhounds kind of look like 4 eyes. Not dogs wearing glasses, which would be funny. These dogs were never known to miss a bear tree. Sooner or later they would scent it. Mother Bear thought she might be able to save herself and her cubs, but what would become of the boy? She loved him too well to let the bear hunters kill him. Just then, the porcupine, the chief of the animals, passed by the bear tree. Mother Bear saw him. She put her head out of the bear tree window and called to him. He came and sat under the bear tree window and listened to Mother Bear's story of her fears for the boy. When she had finished, Chief Porcupine said he would call a council of the animals and see if they could not save the boy. Now the chief had a big voice. As soon as he raised his voice, even the animals away on the longest trails heard. They ran at once and gathered under the council tree. There was a loud roar and a great flapping of wings, for the birds came too. Chief Porcupine told them about the fears of Mother Bear and of the danger to the boy. "Now," said the chief, "which one of you will take the boy and save him from the bear hunters?" It happened that some animals were present that were jealous of the man. These animals had held more than one secret council to plan how they could do away with him. They said he was becoming too powerful. He knew all they knew and more. The beaver did not like man because men could build better houses than he. The fox said that man had stolen his cunning and could now outwit him. The wolf and the panther objected to man because he could conceal himself and spring with greater surety than they. The raccoon said that man was more daring and could climb higher than he. The deer complained that man could outrun him. So when Chief Porcupine asked who would take the boy and care for him, each of these animals in turn said that they would gladly do so. Mother Bear sat by and listened as each offered to care for the boy. She did not say anything, but she was thinking hard, for a bear. At last she spoke. To the beaver she said, "You cannot take the boy, you will drown him on the way to your lodge." To the fox she said, "You cannot have him, you would teach him to cheat and steal while pretending to be a friend. Neither can the wolf or the panther have him, for they are counting on having something good to eat. You, deer, lost your upper teeth for eating human flesh. And 2, you have no home. You are a tramp. And you, raccoon, I cannot trust, for you would coax him to climb so high that he would fall and die. No, none of you can have the boy." Now a great bird that lives in the sky had flown into the council tree while the animals were speaking, but they had not seen him. When Mother Bear had spoken, this wise old eagle flew down and said, "Give the boy to me, Mother Bear. No bird is so swift and strong as the eagle. I will protect him. On my great wings I will bear him far away from the bear hunters. I will take him to the wigwam of an Indian friend, where a little Indian boy is wanted." Mother Bear looked into the eagle's keen eyes. She saw that he could see far. Then she said, "Take him, eagle. I trust him to you. I know you will protect the boy." The eagle spread wide his great wings. Mother Bear placed the boy on his back, and away they soared, far from the council woods. The eagle left the boy, as he had promised, at the door of a wigwam where a little Indian boy was wanted. This was the first young American to be saved by an American eagle. Reminder that at the start, who was really American and who was not. I think they mean more specific there. Oh, thanks, why not Zoidberg? Zoidberg, hi. The boy grew to be a noble chief and a great hunter. No hunter could hit a bear trail so soon as he, for he knew just where and how to find the bear trees. But never was he known to cut down a bear tree or to kill a bear. However, many were the wolf, panther, and deer skins that hung in his lodge. The hunter's wife sat and made warm coats from the fox and beaver skins which the hunter father brought in from the chase. But never was the hunter, his wife, or his children seen to wear a bearskin coat. The end. Yes, I did say hi. And then I wanted to finish the story. Oh no, Fetster, no! Does that mean you have to go away now, or you have to be up very early tomorrow with your upset sleep schedule? Because either way, sounds like you should probably get going. But yes, thank you very much, Zoidberg, for stopping in. I just wanted to finish that story. And that is the end. The Why the Eagle Defends Americans is done. Hey, and there's that Noah. Hello. Okay, we transition. Yes, I imagine you do. We will see you another time. Thank you so much for helping me out as you have with the Discord. We'll get more things done much later. Okay, well, still. Okay. For a second, I was like, what in the heck collection of letters did Why Not Zoidberg put before me? And then I was like, oh, it's Peace Vet. Okay. Yeah, hopefully whatever they're calling you in for isn't too tough. But don't worry if you have to go. Everything is uploaded later. As you know you're here and you know this. Okay. Death Noah, I do have the keyboard working now, and it's well and clicky clacky loud, so you'll be able to hear it. The next story is how the turkey buzzard got his suit. Eh? No. For the quiz, actually, because this is all like teachings, this could easily be something like this could end up as like something you learn to relearn the histories and such. Unless you're Iroquois, though, you're probably not doing a quiz on this, so don't worry. I could probably do something like that. Anyway, turkey buzzard got his suit. That's the next story. But I'll take a second for water. I like the last story with the little bear boy, and it makes me think of all sorts of little bear boys. It's fairly common for stories to end up having boys raised by bears and weird twist of events. Oh, and I forgot that I was writing things down here. I have to do that. No, not First Nation said. Well, I don't need to know your races, but either way we can all learn it, as we did with the acknowledgement. You didn't catch the front, but these stories, they were listed specifically as to teach everybody. Well, kind of, they only listed the red and the white, no black and yellow, but and that's like a thing. I'm not just willy-nilly, sorry, pencil. Not willy-nilly calling people colors. That's the medicine wheel stuff, where everything is part of the wheel. Red, yellow, black, white, up, down, left, right, northeast, southwest, all that. Yeah. It's very fun for me to learn all the stories. I'm just making sure I'm writing down the stories that we did this. Okay, so it was how the white man came, and then why the eagle defends the Americans. Sorry, we take a minute. And then the one we're about to do, how the turkey buzzard got his suit. I want to make sure I have all the stories always uploaded and properly noted. Okay. Then here we are. Next story. It was a long, long time ago when the earth was very young. Trees and flowers were growing everywhere. Oh. Haha, there we go. It was a long, long time ago when the earth was very young. Trees and flowers were growing everywhere, but there were no birds. One morning, the Great Spirit drew back the blanket from the door of his wigwam in the sky. He looked upon the earth and smiled, for he saw that his work was good. I realized I should say wigwam is just like a home. But anyway, okay. Today, thought he, I will make big butterflies to fly in and out among the beautiful trees and flowers of the earth. They shall sing as they fly. Then the Great Spirit spoke, and the treetops were full of birds, but they had no feathers. All day he watched them fly and listened to their songs, but their naked bodies and long legs did not please him. Before the sun had set, he had made feathered suits of every size and color to cover them. That night, As the birds hid their heads under their wings, the Great Spirit spoke to them. He told about the feathered suits he had made for them and where these suits could be found. A council was called the next day by the birds. They chose Gagagowa, the turkey buzzard, to get the suits. He could fly over a long trail and not be tired. The birds told him that if he would go, he might have the first choice of the suits of feathers, but he must try on no suit more than once. The turkey buzzard promised and set out toward the setting sun. Twice the sun set, and 3 times it rose before he found the feathered suits. There were many of them, and they were very beautiful. He could not make up his mind which one he would like best to wear. Then he remembered that he could try on each suit of feathers once, so he began to put them on. The feathers of the first suit were too long. They trailed on the ground as he walked. Neither could he fly well in them. Turkey Buzzard laid that suit aside. The next suit shone like gold. The feathers were beautiful yellow. Turkey Buzzard put it on and strutted up and down the forest. "Oh, how handsome I am," he said. "But I must not keep this, for if I did, I would shine so like the face of the Great Spirit that all the other birds would see me." And he slipped off the suit of yellow feathers as quickly as possible. A third suit was of pure white feathers. Turkey Buzzard thought it looked very beautiful. It was a perfect fit. "But it will get dirty too soon," he said. "I will not choose this." And this too was laid aside. There were not enough feathers in the fourth suit. Turkey Buzzard shivered with cold. It was not warm enough. He would not have it. There were too many feathers and too many pieces in the fifth suit. It took too much time to put it on. Turkey Buzzard did not want that. So he went from one suit to another, taking on and taking off. Always he had some new fault to find. Something was wrong with each one. Nothing quite pleased him. No suit was just right. At last there was but one suit left. It was not pretty. It was a plain, dull color, and very short feathers at the neck and head. Turkey Buzzard put it on. He did not like it. It did not fit him well. It was cut too low in the neck. Turkey Buzzard thought it was the homeliest suit of all, but it was the last suit, so he kept it on. Then Gagagoa, the turkey buzzard, gathered up the suits and flew back to the bird lodge. He still wore the plain, dull-colored suit. The birds again called a council. Each was told to select a suit from those that Gagagoa had brought, and put it on. This they did. Then the birds in their beautiful feathered suits began to walk and fly about the turkey buzzard, and to make fun of his plain, dull dress. But Gagagoa held his head high. He walked proudly among the birds. He looked with scorn on their beautiful suits. After a time he spoke. He said, "Gagagoa, the turkey buzzard, does not want your suits. He had pick of them all. He likes his own suit best." And that is actually adapted from Ermini Smith's Myths of the Iroquois. I want to look that up. Ooh. No. Okay. So there's its own little collection. This may or may not be actually a lot of stuff. Okay. And that one. Looks like most of it was done in 1880 to 1881. That story, but this, it actually has more later. So that's interesting, learning about that. But okay, that was how the turkey buzzard got his suit. Ta-da! his suit of feathers. The next one is Why the Partridge Drums. Most of these are very, very short, so it takes probably almost as long for me to go in between stories as it does to actually do reading of the story. Okay. I'm really happy to be reading these stories. I think it's very fun to read these ones, and I hope you are enjoying them. People that are listening now and later. We've got a very small turnout right now, but I think they're very significant stories. So I'm glad I'm reading them at least. I'm also wondering if I should I changed my type of content from ASMR to just chatting. I don't know if that was the right move. Maybe I'd have more people in here if I had ASMR still. But I don't know. I'm trying it out. We'll find out. Anyway. Opte. Here we go. Why the Partridge Drums. It was after the Great Spirit had made all the beautiful birds that the evil spirit came along. He saw the beautiful birds and heard their beautiful songs. He saw that the earth people liked the birds and liked to hear them sing. Now the evil spirit did not wish people to be happy, so he said, I will make a bird that will make people afraid. I will make a big bird that will not sing, but will make a great noise. So the evil spirit went to work. In a short time he made a big bird that could not sing, but could drum. The big bird flew away into the wood. That night a drumming noise was heard in the wood. The people were afraid. They could not sleep because of the noise. In the morning they went into the woods to search for the noise. Deep in the forest could still be heard that strange drumming. They followed it until they came to a deep, dark place in the woods. There was a loud fluttering and whirring of wings, and a great bird flew out from among them, along the ground and over the trees. The people were afraid. They called to the Great Spirit to help them. The Great Spirit was near. He heard their cry and went after the bird, for he was very angry. The Great Spirit said, I will not have my people frightened by this great bird. It shall die. The big bird gave the Great Spirit a long chase. At last the Great Spirit came upon it. He seized it and threw it against a large tree. As the bird struck the tree, drops of blood flew in all directions. They changed into smaller birds that went whirring into the woods, just as the big bird had done, where they began to drum. Like the big birds, these smaller birds like to startle people. They flutter out from under the leaves, and with a whirring noise they fly far into the woods. There they perch on an old log or a rock and drum with their wings. Some of the earth people say they are drumming for their mates, but others still think that the birds drum to make people afraid. So this is how the Indians say the partridges came to be. This is why they drum, and why some of the earth children still love to hunt partridges. The end for that one. Very quick little stories. Hello. I think it has been a bit since you've been here, but welcome. And you have the frog. That's great. We're reading stories the Iroquois tell their children. It's a book filled with little stories. And we just finished one. We'll get it to the next one. But these are all stories from the Iroquois peoples, which is a group of different nations in kind of in and around the Great Lakes area. I'm glad you like the emotes. And yes, welcome back. Okay, next one is how the Indians learned to heal. do. I will always be this picky about the titles, I think. But I won't always have such short stories where it takes up so much time. Typing with one hand. Ugh. Oh, wait. Okay. No. Nearly. Okay. There we go. Alright. How the Indians learned to heal. A long, long time ago, some Indians were running along a trail that led to an Indian settlement. As they ran, a rabbit jumped from the bushes and sat before them. The Indians stopped, for the rabbit still sat up before them and did not move from the trail. They shot their arrows at him, but the arrows came back unstained with blood. A second time they drew their arrows. Now no rabbit was to be seen. Instead, an old man stood on the trail. He seemed to be weak and sick. The old man asked them for food and a place to rest. They would not listen, but went on to the settlement. Slowly the old man followed them down the trail to the wigwam village. In front of each wigwam he saw a skin placed on a hole. This he knew was the sign of the clan to which the dwellers in that wigwam belonged. And then they have images of wolf, turtle, beaver, and I'm not entirely sure, elk, probably. And then a little bit later there's a different set that's looking like two of the birds. I'm not sure the difference, heron or crane or something. Probably a crow or raven and a bear. So these are all different clan animals. Okay, anyway. First he stopped at a wigwam where a wolf's skin hung. He asked to enter, but they would not let him in. They said, "We want no sick men here." On he went toward another wigwam. Here's a turtle shell was hanging, but this family would not let him in. He tried a wigwam where there he saw a beaver skin. He was told to move on. The Indians who lived in a wigwam where a deer skin was seen were just as unkind, nor was he permitted to enter the wigwams where hung hawk, snipe, and heron skins. Okay, so that's the other birds, hawk, snipe, and heron. At last he came to a wigwam where a bear skin hung. I will ask once more for a place to rest, he thought. And here a kind old woman lived. She brought food for him to eat and spread soft skins for him to lie upon. The old man thanked her. He said that he was very sick. He told the woman what plants to gather in the wood to make him well again. This she did, and soon he was healed. A few days later the old man was again taken sick. Again he told the woman what roots and leaves to gather. She did as she was told, and soon he was well. Many times the old man fell sick. Each time he had a different sickness. Each time he told the woman what plants and herbs to find to cure him. Each time she remembered what she had been told. Soon this woman of the bear clan knew more about healing than all the other people. One day the old man told her that the Great Spirit had sent him to earth to teach the Indian people the secrets of healing. I came sick and hungry to many a wigwam door. No blanket was drawn aside for me to pass in. You alone lifted the blanket from your wigwam door and bade me enter. You are the bear clan. You are of the bear clan, therefore all other clans shall come to the bear clan for help in sickness. You shall teach all the clans what plants and roots and leaves to gather, that the sick may be healed, and the bear shall be the greatest and strongest of the clans. The Indian woman lifted her face to the Great Spirit to thank him for his great gift and knowledge of healings. When she turned again to the man, he had disappeared. No one was there, but a rabbit was running swiftly down the trail. The end for that one. And it was very cute, I think. Next one is Why Dogs Chase Foxes. And it's pretty short too. Okay. Why dogs chase foxes. Ah. Things moving on me. A fox was running through the wood near a river. He had a fish in his mouth. The fox had been stolen from an Indian who lived down the stream. The fox had been passing near the Indian's wigwam. He saw the fish hanging by the fire. It was cleaned and ready to cook. What a tasty breakfast, thought the fox. I will watch the man eat. I think I will watch the man eat. Soon the Indian went into the wigwam. The fox slipped up to the fire. He seized the fish and ran away with it. When the Indian came back, he had no breakfast. The fish was gone. No fox was to be seen. The fox ran along, feeling much pleased with himself. What a cunning fox I am, he chuckled. I will play another foxy trick. This time it shall be on the bear I see coming. He ran up a tree that had been bent halfway to the earth by the west wind. There he began to eat his fish. He smacked his lips so loudly that the bear heard him. The bear stopped under the tree and asked, "What are you eating that tastes so good?" For answer, the fox threw down a bit of the fish. The bear smacked his lips and cried, "More, more." "Go to the river, swim out to the big log, and catch your own fish," called the fox. "It's very easy. Just drop your tail into the water. Hold it there till a fish comes along and bites, then pull it up. That's the way I catch my fish. You can catch all the fish you want with your own tail." The bear hurried on to the river. He swam to the log and dropped his tail into the water as the fox had advised. All day he sat and fished with his tail, for bears then had very long tails. The sun set, but no fish had pulled his tail. All night the bear sat on the log and fished. Cold north wind blew his breath over the water. The river grew still and white. Towards morning the bear felt that his tail was getting very heavy. Now at last he was sure he had a fish. He tried to pull it up, but alas, his tail was frozen fast in the ice. Then the fox came along. He laughed long and loudly at the bear and asked if the fishing was good. Some dogs heard the fox and came tearing through the thick underbrush. They saw the fox and started after him. The fox slyly led them on to the frozen river toward the bear. The bear saw them coming and called to the fox to go around some other way. The fox made believe he did not hear and came straight on to the bear to ask him what he had said. The dogs leaped upon the bear. The bear struggled. He gave one great pull and freed himself from the ice. He struck at the dogs so fiercely with his great paws that they soon left him and went on chase after the fox. Dogs have been running after foxes ever since. When the bear got his breath, he stood up and looked around at his tail. He found he only had a small piece left. Most of his tail had been left in the ice. Oh, hi, thank you, Violet. Oh. This is why bears have short tails and why dogs still love to chase the fox. The end. Are you going to disappear back to your own stream, little witch? But thank you for the kissy frog, the loves. We're having lots of wonderful little stories. I'm enjoying it immensely. The next story is why Hermit Thrush is so shy. Okay, we'll put that in. Why Hermit Thrush is so, not so shy. She's just a shy little guy. Just a shy little Hermit Thrush. And these illustrations are very fun. I think the link that I dropped in is worthwhile if you want to check out some of these illustrations. Some moons after the council when the birds chose their feathered suits, a second council was called. The purpose of this council was to see which bird could fly to heaven and bring a song to earth. When all the birds had arrived and were perched upon the council tree, the wise old owl spoke. "Friends and brothers, listen," said the owl. "Many of you have strong wings, but your voices are not beautiful. High, high up in the sky, a long trail beyond the clouds is the happy hunting ground. There live all our brothers of the wood, whom the Great Spirit has called. They sing songs more beautiful than any heard on earth. The bird that can fly beyond the clouds will hear that singing. He shall bring a song to earth. Who will fly the great sky trail and bring a song to earth? Hoo hoo, hoo hoo, hoo hoo." 'Cause he's an owl. At this, all the birds that were swift of the wing flew high in the air. They circled round and round to show their skill. Then they disappeared in the clouds. But one by one they dropped to earth, for when they had reached the great sky trail beyond the clouds, they were too tired to take it. At last the eagle arose and stretched his great wings. "Listen," he said, "for the chief of birds speaks. No other bird is so swift and so strong as the eagle. He has circled the earth. He has flown the rim of the world. The eagle will fly the great sky trail and bring the song to earth." A little brown thrush sat near the eagle. "Oh," he thought, "how I would like to bring that song to earth." But he was so small, and his wings were so tired. Then an idea popped into the little brown head of the thrush. He hopped softly onto the back of the eagle and hid in the thick feathers near the neck. So small and light was the thrush that the eagle did not feel his weight. He did not know that the little brown thrush was on his back, and the other birds did not tell him. The eagle spread his great wings. Up and up and up they soared. The council wood became a little speck and then was seen no more. Over and under and through the clouds, on and on and on they sailed along the great sky trail. At last the eagle's strength began to fail. He could go no further. The great wings of the chief of birds could beat the air no longer. They fell at his side. The little brown thrush felt the eagle quiver and began to drop toward the earth. Then away flew the little brown thrush. The air was so light it seemed easy to fly. On and on he went, for he was not tired. He had had a ride almost to heaven. Now, he thought, I will go on and get the song. For some time the little brown thrush flew along the great sky trail. All at once the air seemed full of song. He knew he was nearing the happy hunting ground. He listened. One song seemed more beautiful to him than the rest. Again and again he listened. He caught the notes. He sang them many times until he was sure that he could carry the song to earth. Then down and down and down he floated through the clouds and storms and sunshine back to Mother Earth. Very happy he flew toward the council wood. He was so full of his beautiful song and the wonderful sky trail, he thought he must pour out his song at once. But when he reached the council wood, he dared not open his mouth. He remembered that he had stolen his ride part way to heaven, and he knew the other birds knew it. But that song, he must sing it. He thought his throat would burst if he did not sing. So the little brown thrush flew off by himself into a deep, dark part of the wood. There, hidden by the brush and the bushes, he poured forth the song he had heard on the great sky trail. What grassy? Anyway. Men hearing it today say, "Listen, a hermit thrush. What a beautiful song." But he is such a shy bird, one seldom can catch a glimpse of him. They do not know why he keeps so close under cover. That one's really cute. I love that one. Oh my goodness. Shy little burb. Who's here for the shy little burb? Okay. The next story is how good and evil came to be. So, light reading. No big deal. How good and evil came to be. Oof. You're still here, kinda? How did things go? Are you having to do a bunch right now while sorting things out? When on call, I figure like that's you have to get pulled in physically to the place. But maybe not. Probably you're not doing anything have to be in place. So this is fine vibe. Everything's on fire. Well, I wish you well with all of that then. Oh. I have a little sticker so I know where my blush button is. And I hit it. So, but the sticker's coming off. Ugh. Okay. Ear remote, thankfully. Oh, yes, okay, then that's good. Good news about that is that, yeah, you can have whatever hours you choose, so a twisted up sleep schedule ain't too bad. You'll survive. Oh, right, you said that. I remember you saying that. How awful of me to not have remembered that time. Oh. Okay, hail. Good. And evil. Whoopty. Oh, we love a lurker. That's good. Thank you for still listening. I appreciate. I will keep reading the stories and maybe a little bits of chats to other people. So you might be like, okay, and now she's talking to herself. I don't know what's going on. It's just because somebody's typed something. Lurk, Psyduck. See, that's the one. I need to do a frog with him hiding behind a lily pad and then popping out and then disappearing again. And that'll be it. You're laughing at me talking to myself. Well, I am. If you're not watching the chat and I just interrupt a story or interrupt my stuff to talk to somebody, I'm sure it sounds ridiculous. Look at all the shy ducks. Look at them there. Hello, shy duck. You could yes, I'm sure you could, but don't worry about it. I can make it too. I like making them too. I like playing around with that. I can do it. Probably. Yeah, I could do it. I think I'll do the lurker frog. I claim him. That will be my journey, and you can do another one. Hello, nod. We could probably have a nodding frog too. That's good. Okay. Oh, little reset. Ooh, okay. Later this week, oh, well then, you can take all your time because I will pretty much disappear for, after, it's Thursday. After Thursday, I will be disappearing for a couple weeks while I go north. I'll be hiding out in the forest, so you won't see me. But when I get back, I'll see whatever ambitious thing you make. But there you go, you don't have to rush about it. And then I'll be making my lily pad one after I get back. And sorting out the rest of the Discord and making sure I have my about sorted out. Because I still am not done my freaking gift that I'm trying to make for a friend. Anyway. So much to do. Ah. But anyway, okay. We'll have more emotes. Me and Fetster will have more emotes for y'all. We'll have a whole army of frogs. And then I'll have to like sequester them away because there's just too many. I'll have to start dividing. Well, that's a premium. It's a primo frog. We'll have to put him where you can't access him. Oh, that's an okay frog. That everybody can have that one. That one's mandatory. Yeah, I am. I told you. It's like I'm talking to myself. I called it. Okay. Oh, I had mentioned that I was messing with the stickers on my new keyboard, so I knew what emote thingies. Check it out. I changed my clothes. It's a little bit different. It's barely different, but it is a tiny bit different. You can see the coloration. Slightly different. Instead of blues, it's black and green. And back. Now it's that purpley, yeah. Although there's a little bit of a delay. Anyway. There you go. That's one thing I sorted out. You like it? Yeah, I like it too. I like the green. I like the purple. Okay. How good and evil came to be. That's what we were doing. Yeah, I was having issues with it. And so you didn't even see the section. I didn't have my antlers for a little while, and then I got them, and I was so freaking excited because I finally hear my antlers, and now they're there, and so you can see my antlers too. But okay. How good and evil came to be. Every boy has wondered how there came to be two of him. Every girl has puzzled over how she happened to be twins. Sometimes she is the good girl, sometimes a naughty one. The Indians say this is how it happened. Ooh. The world was very young. There was no earth, only a cloud-like sea. The sea was filled with water animals, and birds flew over it. All was dark. Light had not yet come. Then the cloud sea began to call for light. The Great Spirit heard and said, "It shall be so. I will make a new place for man to live in." The Great Spirit called the beautiful Sky Mother to him. Her face was like the sun. She was so light of heart. The Great Spirit told the Sky Mother to look down. She, too, heard the cloud sea calling, and she said, "I will go." As she began to descend, the animals saw her coming. "See the light," they cried. "Where will it rest?" One of the water animals said, "I will go to the bottom of the sea and get something for it to rest on." He went down, but he never came back. Other animals followed him, but they too did not come back. Then the muskrat said, "I will go. I will be the earth bringer." He returned with some mud in his mouth and claws. "It will grow fast," he cried in a weak voice. "Who will carry it?" The turtle offered his back. As the muskrat placed the mud on the turtle's shell, he died, but the beaver came and slapped the mud down with his tail. The mud on the turtle's back grew very fast. Soon it was a small island. The turtle became the earth bearer. He has continued to hold up the earth ever since. This is where you get the phrase Turtle Island from, if you didn't hear that before. It's a thing in quite a lot of Native American, Native Indigenous peoples in North America. Now, when the sea rises in great waves or the earth shakes, the Indians say, "The turtle is stretching, he's wiggling his back." Now, since there was a place for the light to rest on, the birds flew to meet it. They found that the light was the beautiful Sky Mother. Then the birds spread their great wings, spread wide their great wings, and bore the Sky Mother through the air to the cloud sea. They placed her on the island on the turtle's back. There the Sky Mother had rested some time, when she felt something stirring beneath her heart. She heard voices. One was soft and kind and full of love. The other was harsh and quarrelsome. Soon the Sky Mother looked into the faces of the firstborn of Earth, for she had borne the twin brothers, the spirits of good and evil. As she looked into the face of the good mind, she said, "You shall be called the Light One." Then she looked into the face of his brother and said, "You shall be named the Dark One." The island became a beautiful land. The twin brother, Light One, grew up happy, loving, peaceful, and kind. He wanted to make the new land the most beautiful place in which to live. The twin brother, Dark One, grew up sullen, quarrelsome, hateful, and unkind. He tried to make the land the worst place in which to live. From his mother's beautiful face, the Light One made the sun. He set it in the eastern sky that it might shine forever. Then the Dark One put darkness in the west to drive the sun from the sky. The Light One gave his mother's body to the earth, the great mother from which springs all life. He made great mountains and covered them with forests from which beautiful rivers ran. The Dark One threw down the mountains, gnarled the forests, and bent the rivers which his brother had made. Every beautiful thing which the good brother Light One had made, the bad brother Dark One tried to destroy and ruin. And because the firstborn of the earth were the twin spirits, the good mind and the evil mind, there has been a good and bad spirit born into every boy and girl who has come into the world since. So the Indians say, which is kind of the end. Which is interesting, because I've heard of pretty much the same story with less of a good and evil version to it, and more of a left and right. You know, it's not exactly evil and good, but, you know, kind of brighter and darker still. One of the imageries that I knew was one arrow that was straight and one arrow that was bent. Like those were the brothers. Anyway, that was the end of that one. But, okay. Ooh, the next one is called How a Boy Was Cured of Boasting. Taking notes, Fetster. Actually, I had found the specific Haudenosaunee version of the creation story. I can look up which one, like which kind of depiction they have for her. It's pretty much the same thing. Yeah, this one says good spirit, evil spirit. I could look into some older notes, but yeah, I had bent arrow, straight arrow, and less good, evil, more like bright, dark. Kind of like the sun, moon versus sun and just dark sky. But yeah, How a Boy Was Cured of Boasting is next. Note taking. We could also do that for an emote eventually. So many little emotes to consider. What do we think of that? That's kind of the creation story, because it's how land came to be. A lot of these are like, it's this and then that and then that and then that, and so they kind of blend together. The full big story includes a bunch of little pieces. Like the two brothers there, they can have a lot of further stories based on them. I don't entirely remember, but there was something about those brothers doing other stuff after that I remember. Yeah, stop with the typos. There we go. And this, I can see lacrosse. Lacrosse is going to be in this particular story. If you didn't know, that sport was invented by the Iroquois. There's a whole bit of a new story, not too old now, of the Olympics, including it, but not... Oh yes, still getting used to typing on the new keyboard, and I was typing with one hand as well. Yeah. There was a whole thing about the Olympics not including the actual indigenous people's teams because they didn't want to be like a nationality like a US and Canada kind of thing. They wanted their own, their tribe, their nations, and they weren't recognizing it. And that was a whole thing, because it's like, yeah, we are. And they tried to say, like, you don't have the proper, like, papers for that. You have to be of this place. And they're like, no, we showed you the things. Like, come on, stop. So, yeah, I'm excited to read about the lacrosse story here now. Yeah, it was... I remember it being on, like, one of those YouTube news story peoples. And I was like, ooh, look at you talking about it. Anyway, I was pleased. Let's see it. Huzzah! There we are. How a boy was cured of boasting. There was once an Indian boy who thought he knew more and could do more than anyone else. Haha, there you go. He was so proud of himself that he walked around like a great chief who wears a war shirt with many scalp locks on it. The other Indian boys and girls called him Spread Feather because he strutted about like a big turkey or a peacock, you know, like with a bird that spreads its feathers. Okay. One day, Spread Feather was playing ball with the other boys, and they have in the illustrations the lacrosse nets and ball, so that's the ball they're playing. Not once had he failed to drive or catch the ball with his cross stick. Blech. Twice he had thrown the ball with such force that someone had been hurt. Spread Feather grew more and more pleased with himself as he played. He began to use tricks and to talk very large. No one can play ball as I, he said. I can catch the swiftest ball that can be thrown. I can throw the ball to the sky. I can run faster than the deer. Spread Feather boasted so loudly that Rabbit heard him. The rabbit came out of the bushes and sat up on his hind legs. He watched Spread Feather play and listened to his boasting. Soon a strange boy was standing where the rabbit had sat. Ooh-hoo. The stranger said to Spread Feather, I would like to play ball with you. Come on then, taunted the boastful boy. Spread Feather will show the strange ball player how to catch a ball. They began to play. The stranger could run like a deer. His balls were so swift and so curved that Spread Feather could not see them. He could not catch one. They seemed to come from the sky. At last one ball hit Spread Feather on the mouth. He fell to the ground. His face was red with anger and his lips were red with blood. He sprang to his feet and shouted to the stranger, Though I do not like the taste of your ball, yet I can throw you. I don't want to be disrespectful, but y'all, that sentence was a hell of a thing. Modern interpretations of certain phrases. Anyway, okay. Very well then, said the stranger. We will have a game of catch as catch can. This is the Indian name for a game of wrestling. Spread Feather set his feet very hard on the ground. My legs are as strong as the legs of a bear, he boasted. They began to wrestle. Soon Spread Feather's arms fell at his sides. He panted for air. He had no breath and no strength. The stranger picked Spread Feather up and tossed him over his head like a ball. The boy fell without a word. There she is. Hello. Hi, Dum-Dum. Welcome. When Spread Feather opened his eyes, a rabbit sprang into the bushes. All night Spreadfeather lay and thought and thought. He was too weak and too sore to go back to his wigwam, nor was he eager to meet the other boys. At sunrise a rabbit hopped near. The rabbit slyly suggested that he might like to play another game of ball. The boy sat up and said to the rabbit, "Spreadfeather is no more. He no longer struts like a turkey. He has nothing to say. He will win he will win a new name. It will not be Spreadfeather." The end. That is how the boy was cured of boasting. Hello. Hi, Dum-da. We just finished that story. I need to adjust my headphones. My ears hurt. I have them set wrong. Oof. Putting mic down. Aha, that's why. It's just wrong placement. Okay, one sec again. The ball comment was a freaking moment. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Virtual hugs, of course. The ball comment, I feel so uncomfortable because I want to be so respectful and serious with these stories. I hold them so dear. But then you say something like that, my guys, and I'm like, no, I can't be serious anymore. It's not as easy to laugh at them as it is the regular European fairy tales. Especially in this case, when it's when we know that it's come almost directly from the mouths of the stories. You know, like there's not the blaming it on someone mistranslating and then awkward changing meanings because of sanitization, you know. But the comfy vibes. Oh yes, glad you're all agree. Huh? Yes, I'm glad we are streaming in the comfy vibes. Yes, we're talking about weird comment in the story and giggling about it. We are reading Iroquois stories. Specifically, the book is called Stories the Iroquois Tell Their Children, and it's been a bunch of little stories. We had a nice acknowledgement at the start that specified it was brought together from a bunch of different storytellers and signed off by chiefs from each of the nation, or each of the groups in the Iroquois nation, and then sure, I'll scroll back for it. But the stories are all great, and I'm loving doing this particular collection. But this last story, they had a comment, and I can't be serious about it. I'm sorry. It's a story of, it's sad and all. Oh, it's not exactly sad. These stories are great. They're very good. There's a couple of sad notes too, a couple of them. The first ones were like how the white people came, and that's sad. But the other ones have been pretty positive. I mean, what do you think on them, Fetster? I think they've been pretty positive. No, not really sad. But the story was a boy was boasting too much about his ability to play ball, lacrosse specifically, which was invented by them. And so this rabbit showed up and turned into a boy and challenged him, and he threw one of the ball. He was throwing them, like passing and such, very, very fast, and he threw one, and it hit the guy in the face. And he was so angry, and his lips were red with blood, and so he sprang to his feet and shouted to the stranger, aka Rabbit, "Though I do not like the taste of your ball, yet I can throw you." And then they wrestled, and the boastful dude lost so hard and learned his lesson. from, yeah, well, I'm not trying to talk too much about me, but it's kind of my culture a little bit, so it's not exactly, yeah, I'm a mess, but you know, dear women are from indigenous stories, as we read all about yesterday, and specifically the Iroquois versions, were the Hoof Lady and Dear Woman, and so significant chunks. Well, no, but reading the Iroquois stories, and I've been interjecting with some of the stuff that I've heard, and this stuff. I will say this is not a strange culture to me. It is not terribly familiar, but it is not strange to me. I'll put it that way. It feels like an old home. It is very familiar, and I know some of the stuffs already. But yeah, okay. Ooh, Mike. But that was the story How a Boy Was Cured of Boasting. I think it's a very good story. The next one is Why the Cuckoo, the Cuckoo? Probably means cuckoo. I don't know. Is so lazy. Problem is, I can't imagine that they had. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Why the cuckoo is so lazy. Oh, we're about to come across. I clocked the next story, not Why the Cuckoo is so lazy, but the one after. I clocked that title, and we're gonna have to have a small chat. Because the title is innocent enough, but there's a not innocent version of it, or interpretation of the word that I don't want to make a mess about. It means raccoon. I'll say that. Anyway, okay. Why the cuckoo is so lazy. Oh, when I mess with my headphones, everything's funny right now. Ah, yes, you know. Ah, yes. Ooh, yeah. Okay. No. Okay. I'm gonna be a moment, and then I'm going to set up the next story. Yeah, right. Yeah, we understand now. I'm thinking that I will put it in text on the screen because that is what the story is called. Like that's just what the title is, and it's not intending anything negative, but yeah, I'll probably be saying the full word raccoon instead of what it has. Yeah. A Maine Coon, you mean? Yeah. It'll happen. That's why you have to kind of shove the words together with that one. I saw that pop up when I was checking in on things. Oh, that's not that word. What the heck? Yeah. You're realizing too, Death Noah, it's not fun. Things. Hyphenate them. Yeah, that too. That can help. Okay, well, never mind all that. We haven't gotten to that story yet. We're at Why the Cuckoo is so lazy. Why the cuckoo so lazy? The land was lean and hungry. The old man of the North Lodge had breathed upon the valley. His breath had frozen the corn, and there was no bread for the people. The Indian hunters took to the chase. They followed every track of deer or rabbit. If their arrows brought them meat, they threw it over their shoulders and ran to the village that the hungry women and children might eat. But one Indian remained in his wigwam. He sat by the fire with his wife and child and waited for the hunters to bring game. This man refused to go on the hunt. He was lazy. All day he sat by the fire and smoked his pipe. Once in a while he could stir the water in the kettle, which he kept boiling for the meat that he hoped the hunters might bring. Whenever the child, his little son, begged him for food, he would say, "It isn't done yet." At last the little Indian boy grew so sick and faint for want of food that he cried aloud. The lazy Indian father was angry. He seized the pudding stick and struck the child to the ground. Instantly a bird flew up and perched on the pole over the fire from which the kettle hung. "Now it's done," said the bird solemnly, for it did not seem to have a light heart like other birds. Now, strange as it may seem, his father was no longer cruel and lazy. His lazy spirit seemed to have gone. He wanted to go at once on the chase and hunt for food for his wife and little boy. "Tonight you shall have deer meat to eat," he said, as he spread a soft skin by the fire for the boy to lay on. Then he turned to place the child on the skin, but no boy was there. He had no son. Only that strange bird perched, joyless and alone, over the fire, on the pole from which the kettle hung. "Now it's done," the bird cried again, and with that it flew out of the wigwam. There's more to the story, but hi, I am Wee Totted. You followed. Oh, thank you. Wait, did you just follow? There should have been a thing that popped up. Did you follow just now? Where did the thingy go? That thing's supposed to pop up. Anyway, but thank you for following and thank you for joining. I'm just gonna keep reading this story and then I can move on to the next story, or I can have a chat and explain this one. But here we go. Rude. Fetster knows that the thing was working. There's alerts. I'll have to sort that out. Anyway, that spring the Indians discovered a new bird in the woods. The bird was too lazy to build a real nest. This bird did not weave together twigs and moss, leaves and ferns, bits of hair and thistledown to make a cozy, warm, safe nest for its eggs and young, as did the other birds. This bird would lay its eggs anywhere, wherever a few sticks lay crosswire in a track, or in a little hollow of the ground, or where some twigs or dried ferns were caught loosely in a bush. There this bird would lay its eggs and rear its young. No, not you. You're not rude. I meant the thing not working is rude, you know? It's being rude by not cooperating. Anyway, the bird is too lazy. That's what's going on. It was too lazy to build a real nest that was safe and warm for its little ones. The Indians called the bird the cuckoo, but only one Indian knew how the cuckoo came to be and why it is too lazy to build a real nest. 'Cause it's the bird sending the laziness out, and I guess he made his kid be the bird and be lazy, probably. The magic math on that, 'cause the bird disappeared, or the baby boy disappeared, and the laziness left. I think that's probably what happened. Anyway, that is why the cuckoo is lazy. There you go. We are reading, I am retarded, stories that Iroquois tell their children. So indigenous stories right now. And we just found out why that bird is lazy. But we're about to go on to a new, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to say raccoon every time, even if the word is not the full word. And then I'm going to put raccoon in brackets on the story, because I realize if I have that word in text, in stuff, maybe it'll get flagged and suppressed, and I don't want to do that. So, because then I'd lose this whole stream, and I'm not doing that. I'll just put it in brackets, that is what that word is supposed to be, instead of what is there. And it is very clearly, this book is from 1917. It's very clearly that this use of the word is nowhere near malicious intent, nowhere near the malicious, more modern interpretation that it could be. It was very much raccoon. That's it. That's all there is. So I'm going to quickly type that out, make sure it's good, and we'll read that story. Okay. It is called How the Racoon Outwitted the Fox. And that is the story. So we'll read that next. Be visible, please. Thank you. And here we are. A wise old raccoon sat up in a tree near the river where the bear lost his tail. That was in the previous story, a couple stories back. The bear used to have a long tail, now it's a very short tail. The raccoon saw the fox play his foxy trick on the bear, and he did not like it. See what I mean, where they have the one story that just blends into the next one, because it is all just one long history. I really like that. They're not detached from each other, because it is all one general understanding, as opposed to little myths. It's not myths, it's real beliefs from an older time, that's all. Anyway, okay. The fox is getting a big head, said the raccoon. This must not be. His head must be made smaller. Some of the foxiness must be taken out of it. He's getting too foxy. He thinks he has the cunning of all the animals, and that no one can outwit him. Someone must play a fox trick on him. Not many days later, the raccoon saw the fox coming down the trail. The raccoon was eating some juicy yellow apples that he had found on a tree not far away. As soon as he saw the fox, he ran up a tree and began to smack his lips as the fox had done to tempt the bear. The fox stopped under the tree, just as the bear had stopped. "What tastes so good?" he asked. For answer, the raccoon threw down an apple to the fox, just as the fox had thrown the piece of fish down to the bear. The fox took the apple and ate it. "Fine, fine," said the fox, when he had finished the last mouthful. "Where did you get it?" The raccoon told the fox how to find the apple tree. He must follow the trail along the river down to the pine bluff. Then he must climb the bluff and run toward the setting sun until he came to an open field. In the center of that field stood a great apple tree. It was filled with juicy yellow apples. "But you can climb the tree and pick your own apples. How can I get off the tree? How can I get them off the tree?" whined the fox. Because, the raccoon has his own little hands, little thumbs. Freaking little raccoon, little shuffle cat. Anyway. "Okay, that's easy," said the raccoon. "Just back off 2 bow shots from the tree, then lower your head. So I guess he shows him. And then lower your head so. Run hard and butt the tree with your head. You have such a big head, it will shake the tree so hard that all the apples will fall at once. Do as I tell you, and you will have all the apples you want for a long time." The fox thanked the raccoon and started at once. He found the apple tree just as the raccoon had said. "What a fine open place to run in," thought the fox. "I will get such a fine start when I hit the tree it will shake the world." Already he began in his mind to see the apples falling like pine needles and to feel the earth shake under his feet. The fox did as the raccoon had told him. 1 arrow flight he backed off, then another. Then he closed his eyes, lowered his head, and ran swiftly over the thick grass. He struck the tree as hard as he ever could with his big head. Not an apple fell, but a dazed, foolish-looking fox fell to the ground. Next morning, as the sun rose, a shame-faced fox was seen running towards the woods beyond the pine bluff. He carried his head low, and he seemed to be playing no foxy tricks. Ha ha, take that, little fluffer. But the end. That is how the raccoon outwitted the fox. Yay. I saw that story and I was like, oh, wait a minute, hold on. Well, did I see what I think I just saw? And I had to double check what I was going to do about that. Knowing how far down the list it is in the stories, we've gone quite a ways. I don't know how many more stories we got. I don't want to lose my place, but I will. Okay. Scrolling way back up. Oh no, it's not quite as slow as I thought it was. We're about halfway through the center stories, and then there's like a few more other stories right after that are they listed as fairy, but it's kind of like the little people as we refer to them, which is very similar to fairies, which is why the translator used it that way. Oh no. We have the same issue. It's not in the title this time, but the raccoon is referred to the same way. Yay! I have to be careful every time I read. It's not such a big deal, but I don't want anybody to flag me or misunderstand why I'm saying the word. I definitely don't mean the malicious intent. But the next title is Why the Goldfinches Look Like the Sun, which I would imagine was part of the how the turkey buzzard got his suit. That story already told us, didn't it? Anyway, that's the next story. We'll prep that. Do-do-do-do-do. What? Oh no. There you go. Why the goldfinches look like the sun. Aha! I'm starting to get the hang of this keyboard. It is getting smoother. Slight adjust. Okay. It was some moons after the raccoon outwitted the fox before they again met. So this is the sequel very directly. There was no interruption like the other ones. The raccoon was hurrying by when the fox saw him. Now the fox had not forgotten the trick the raccoon had played on him. His head was still sore from that great thump against the apple tree. So the fox started after the raccoon. He was gaining, and would have caught him had they not come to a tall pine tree. The raccoon ran to the very tip-top of the pine tree. There he was safe, for the fox could not climb. The fox lay down on the soft pine needles and waited for the raccoon to come down. The raccoon stayed up in the pine tree so long that the fox grew tired and sleepy. He closed his eyes and thought he would take a short nap. The raccoon watched until he saw that the fox was found asleep. Then he took in his mouth some of the pitch from the pine tree. He ran down the tree and rubbed the pitch over the eyes of the sleeping fox. The fox awoke. He sprang up and tried to seize the raccoon, but alas, he could not see what he was doing. The lids of his eyes were held fast with the pine gum. He could not open them. The raccoon laughed at the fox's plight, then ran and left him. The fox lay for some time under the tree. The pine gum, as it dried, held the lids of his eyes closer and closer shut. He thought he should never again see the sun. Some birds were singing nearby. He called them and told them of his plight. He asked if they would be so kind so as to pick open his eyes. The birds flew off and told the other birds. Soon, many of the little dark songsters flew back to where the fox lay. Then peck, peck, peck went the little bills on the eyelids of the fox. Bit by bit they carefully pecked away the pine gum. If one grew tired, another bird would take its place. At last, the fox saw a streak of light. Soon the lid of one eye flew open, then the other. The sun was shining, and the world looked very beautiful to the fox as he opened his eyes. He was very grateful to the little birds for bringing him light. He told them to ask what they would, and he would give it to them. The little birds said, "We do not like the plain dark suits which the turkey buzzard brought us." Ooh, okay. Some tea in the bird group. "Make us look like the sun we have brought to you." The fox looked about him. Beautiful yellow flowers were growing near. He pressed some of the sun color from them, and with the tip of his tail as a brush, he began to paint the little dark birds like the sun. The birds fluttered so with joy, he thought he would paint the bodies first, before he could brush the wings and tails with the sun paint. Each little bird had darted away, though, like a streak of sunshine. Before he could brush the wings and tails, they darted away. Okay. So happy and light of heart were the birds that they could not wait for the box to finish the painting. This is why the goldfinches are yellow like the sun. It is why they have black wings and tails, why they flutter so with joy, and why they never finish their song. They're just too excited. That's cute. There you go, the end for the why the goldfinches look like the sun. Next is what the ash and the maple learned. Ooh. The ash what the ash and the maple learned. Yeah, I like the cute little bird story. Okay. Writing this down everywhere. I think we'll take just a short little break after this little story. Just long enough for me to stretch. And then we'll go right back to it. Long ago, birds, trees, animals, and men knew each the language of the other and could talk together. In those days, the trees of the forest grew very large and strong. At last they came to know their strength too well. Yep, exactly, Dead Noah. That's what I'll do. Okay. They came to know their strength too well. They became selfish and proud and quarrelsome. The trees did. Each tree boasted that he was the greatest and strongest. Yes, I'll do that. Each one struggled to gain for himself the most earth, the best air, the brightest sun. No tree had a thought for the other. One day, the trunk of a great maple tried to crowd out an ash. The ash, of course, thought he had as much right to stand there as the maple, and he said he would not stir a limb. "Get out of my way," cried the maple. "I am greater than you, and of more use to man, for I furnish the sweet water for him to drink." "Indeed I will not," said the ash. "I am greater than you, and of more use to man than you, for I furnish the tough wood from which he makes his bow." At this the trees fell to wrestling. Back and forth, in and out they swayed, each trying to throw the other. They forgot that they were brothers in the wood. Then the south wind came along. He heard the loud voices and stopped to find out what the quarrel was about. "I'm greater than you, for I furnish the sweet water for man to drink," came the angry voice of the maple as he threw his huge trunk against the ash. "No, you are not," retorted the ash, and he sent the maple back with a great push of his strong elbow. I'm greater than you, for I furnish the tough wood from which he makes his bow." For a time the south wind watched them writhe and twist and try to throw each other to the ground. Then he said softly, "You, O maple, do not cause the sweet water to flow for man, nor do you, O ash, make your wood to grow pliant and tough for his bow." "Who does then?" they asked defiantly. "Listen," said the south wind, "and you shall hear." Then the maple and ash forgot their quarrel. They bent their heads so low and close to listen that an arm of the maple slipped through an arm of the ash. And as they stood thus listening, each with an arm locked in an arm of the other, the south wind gently swayed them to and fro. Then a voice was heard singing, "Sanoe, Sanoe," I think, Sanoe, which means the mother of all things. Thus it was that the ash and the maple learned that it was the Mother Earth who gave them their life and power and strength, and that they were brothers because they had one mother. The ash and maple whispered the secret to the birds. The birds came and listened to the voice, and went and told the animals. The animals came and listened, and went and told men. And thus all the earth children learned that there is one great mother of every living thing, and that all are brothers. And now whenever two trees lock arms lovingly, and the south wind sways them gently to and fro, that same voice may be heard singing, "Sanoe, Sanoe, Sanoe." I'm guessing a little bit at that, but I think that's how it's said. And the end. That's the little story. I like that one a good deal. I would say I had a thought that the way they were pushing for stuff against each other, I was like, well, that sounds like, men today, men being human. Well, yeah, that's what they're for. The maple syrup, that's something, but you can get the spire and the wood for maple, I think is what they might have been referring to, or it might have been the syrup itself. Either way, very, very much the point that neither of them are really the point. It's Mother Earth being what causes them to live in the first place. We're all brothers. That moment. They're very sweet. Alright, I will just take a minute for myself and be back after the stretch. Okay. Alright. Right back. I'm back. How is everyone doing up? Well, I think there's not too many people that are actively in the stream, so they're probably not going to be very chatty. Um, Thank you, Death Noah. I just thought you were excited, and now you're not. Aww. Oh, I was saying that there's only a few people in the stream right now, so probably not going to be terribly chatty. Um, you mean? Yeah. Either works. It's all good. Okay, where are we at? Ooh, it's how the woman overcame the bear. Oh, thank you for the loves. And the woman. It's okay to lurk. We can have all kinds of people just quietly hanging out. But how the woman overcame the bear. Hey, sometimes we don't have the big energies that is required for all caps types of typing. It's all good. Especially in a cozy reading setting. I mean, it's befitting. Yes, and don't you worry, Fetster. You can take your time. You can disappear. I'm not holding it against you. You need to look after you first. I'm just here for entertainment. I am by no way a requirement here to hang out with. So you're just very well. You are in the morning. Our people's on the other side of time. It's all sleepy time. So no. Okay. Oh yeah, I know that moment, Fetster. Waiting for the other people to do their jobs so that you can do your bit and then be done. Yeah. Okay, what did it do? Where am I? I'm over here. And then I need to type. Need to say how the woman overcame the bear. No, not the bear. What? Okay, there you go. I make lots of little noises when the things don't cooperate or surprise me. I realize that. Okay, how the woman overcame the bear. It's a pretty short one. An Indian woman built a wigwam in the deep wood. She was a brave woman. She had no fear. One night she heard something coming along the trail. Thump, thump, thump it came to the very door of her wigwam. There was a rap. Come in, said the woman, but no one entered. Again there was a rap. Again the woman called, come in. Again the latch was not lifted. A third time the rap came. A third time the woman called, come in, but no one entered. Then the strange thump, thump, thump was heard going down the trail. The next night the same thing occurred. Soon after dark the woman heard the thump, thump, thump coming along the trail. Up to the very door of the wigwam it came. 3 times a rap, rap, rap was heard as before. 3 times the woman answered, come in, but no one entered. Then the strange thump, thump, thump was heard going down the trail again. The third night the woman thought she would make sure who was calling. She stood for a long time with her hand on the latch. At last she heard the visitor coming. Thump, thump, thump it came along the trail. There were 3 raps. Come in, called the woman, but the latch did not move in her hand. She waited. Again came the raps. This time she threw wide open the door, and there stood a great black bear. He showed his sharp teeth and growled, "Are you at home?" The woman looked him straight in the eye and replied, "I am at home." At once the bear turned on his heel and went down the trail as fast as he could go. Never again did the woman hear that strange thump, 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 and never again did the bear call to see if she were at home. Not entirely sure what exactly happened there, but that feels like the most realistic animal interaction I've ever heard. You know, like, are you home? Yes. Okay. And? No? Okay, well, bye-bye, bear. It's just what they'll do. But that's fun. They're like, hey, what is this? What is it? And they'll be like, oh, that's just this. And they'll be like, okay. And run. Suddenly very, very startled. Not really by you being home, but by like, well, now I have my answer. Ah! She didn't even do much, and he wasn't like terribly surprised at her when like she opened the door. He could see her, but she says, well, yeah, and then he's just okay, well, bye, bear. We'll see you next time. Why the woodpecker bores for its food. That's the next one. I'm gonna have so many story titles in the next description on YouTube. Actually, you know what? What I'll probably do is I'll just put a link for this site, and like all the things pop up. I won't bother. No, I don't know. Having the story names in the title makes it easier for people to find it if they're looking for it. Like, you know, if you want to know the story of the Cure for Boasting, then that's how you find it. But it's gonna be so much to put in the description on YouTube. It's just gonna be huge. Yeah, I'll do it. Okay. Where's for its food? Does that it's? No, I'll assume it doesn't require an apostrophe. Sometimes I forget the difference. Okay. Why? Why the woodpecker? One-handed typing is annoying sometimes. Okay. Once upon a time, the Great Spirit left the happy hunting ground and came to Earth. He took the form of a poor, hungry man. He went from wigwam to wigwam asking for food. Sometimes he found the Indians sitting around the fire, telling stories and talking of the Great Spirit. Then the man would pass by unseen. One day he came to a wigwam in which a woman was baking cakes. I am very hungry, the man said. Will you please give me a cake? The woman looked at the man and then at the cake. She saw it was too large to give away. She said, I will not give you this cake, but I will bake you one if you will wait. The hungry man said, I will wait. Then the woman took a small piece of dough and made it into a cake and baked it. But when she took the cake from the coals, it was larger than the first. Again the woman looked at her cake. Again she saw it was too large to give away. Again she said, I will not give you this one, but I will bake you one if you will wait. Again the man said, I will wait. This time the woman took a very, very tiny bit of dough and made it into a cake. Surely this will be small enough to give away, she thought. Yet when it baked, it was larger than both the others. The woman stood and looked at the 3 cakes. Each was too large to give away. I will not give you any of the cakes, she said to the man. Go to the woods and find your food in the bark of the trees. Then the man stood up and threw off his ragged blanket and worn moccasins. His face shone like the sun, and he was very beautiful. The woman shrank into the shadow of the wigwam. She could not look upon his face for the light. I am the Great Spirit, said he, and you are a selfish woman. Women should be kind and generous and unselfish. You shall no longer be a woman and live in a warm wigwam with plenty of cakes to bake. You shall go to the forest and hunt for your food in the bark of the trees. Summer and winter you shall eat worms of the same size as the cake you would have made for me. The woman began to grow smaller and smaller. Feathers grew upon her body and wings sprang from it. The Great Spirit touched her head and it became red. Always shall you wear this red hood, he said, as a mark of your shame. Always shall you hide from man. Always shall you hunt for the little worms the size of the cake you made for me. At this a sharp cry was heard, and a bird flew into the fireplace of the wigwam and up the chimney. As it passed out of the chimney, the soot left those long streaks of black. Which we see now on the woodpecker's back. Ever since then, this woodpecker has had a red head, and has been hiding from man on the farther side of the tree trunk and boring in the bark for little worms. The end. Why not just give him half? You would wonder, but I think with some of this, it's just like she was being selfish. Yeah, a lot of indigenous stories will end up being, and that's how this animal looks like this today. That's why this animal isn't like this animal kind of things. It's very fun. If I found that there was like a magic way to make my dough last way longer, I would want to like keep doing that. I'd want to make like 15 and then be like, okay, I've got all this food now. I've got plenty. Yes, you may pick any one of these cakes. Whatever you want, take it. And now I've got all the rest of these to give out to my community and have for myself, all that sort of way. But oh well, she didn't. Now she's a woodpecker. That's good. That's good to offer everybody else something if you can. You would hope. And certainly the Great Spirit in that story would be appreciative of that kind of mentality then for you. Oh boy, I have to flip the page for my little notebook that keeps track of all the stories I read. Oh boy, okay. The next short story is Why the Ice Roof Fell. Ooh. Why the Ice Roof Fell. And then we're going to put it up on the screen. Why the ice roof fell. Bum-ba-da. Not very hard to get that one. First, most of the time, I make too much anyway. Yeah, it's always nice to share when you have lots. Especially when you're doing something like baking, it's so fun to share that. And there's lots of cultures that go around, specifically the baking instead of just cooking. And plenty that will say food in general. Sharing the food is the most significant part of food. So, yeah, it's always good to share. Alright, why the ice roof fell. A great many winters ago, there lived at the foot of a certain lake a tribe of wicked Indians. These Indians were so fierce and warlike and wasteful, they went about destroying everything. Now I'm going to stop right there. This is interesting because the Iroquois peoples is a group of different peoples, and we read off at the start the different groups. I can go back, but anyway, the idea is that this was, different nations. They had wars between themselves a lot too. And so the different nations, they would make stories about each other. And I know the reason that Mohawk people are called Mohawk is because that's actually a word for them from a different group that means cannibal. Because they were, in the history, they had wars and they were struggling to eat. And, well, the theory, the rumor, probably not that untrue, I don't know, was that they ate people meat. And so, starting off with this story that has, like, this is one of the stories where they're saying the bad Indian groups. This is probably one of the other groups doing that. So that's that. It's fun. The name for Mohawk that they have for themselves is Ganyagehaka, but which I said in the Deer Woman thing. I didn't specify that those were the same peoples. And Mohawk is part of the larger Iroquois group. But yeah, so this is very possibly from them or about them, as everybody was talking about each other because they were fighting wars against each other and all that. Anyway. Okay, boop-a-doop. Indians were fierce and warlike, and they wasted things, and they wanted to destroy everything, yes. They laid low a tract of beautiful forest trees for no good purpose. They tore up shrubs and plants that gave them food and medicine. They shot their arrows into every bird or animal they saw just for sport. The great trees, their silent brothers of the wood, trembled and sighed when they heard these Indians coming. The squirrels darted into hollow trees, and birds flew in alarm at their footsteps. The deer and rabbit ran from the trail. At last the Great Spirit became very angry with his tribe. Always he had taught the Indians never to kill an animal, unless for food and protection, never to fell a tree, unless for fuel or shelter, never to dig up shrubs or plants, unless for some good use, like the medicine and such. All life, the Great Spirit had said, is sacred and beautiful. It must not be wasted. And never before had he known the Indians to waste the beautiful living things about them. The Great Spirit was very sad. Finally done. Oh, yay! Okay, well then join us, and hopefully you will reset your sleep schedule as well and be able to sleep and do the things soon. Anyway. The Great Spirit was very sad. The ice formed very thick on the lake that winter. One night there came a great storm of wind and rain. The ice broke loose from the shores, and the wind blew it down the lake. At the foot of the lake a mass of ice was piled high over the shore, where lived these wasteful Indians. Like a giant roof, the ice spread over the little Indian village lying there asleep. But the Indians did not know. They slept on, unaware of their danger, for a deep, heavy sleep had come upon them. Just as the sun rose, the ice roof gave way and fell upon the sleeping Indians, crushing them in their wigwams. The waste they had brought upon their brothers of the wood had brought punishment upon them. The Great Spirit had destroyed these wicked Indians, and the good Indians might keep his world beautiful. Ever after, as long as the Indians occupied the country, before the white man came, no trees were felled and no animals or birds were killed unless for some wise and useful purpose. Note that they inserted before the white man came because, everything changed with him. But yeah. Sweet. I like it. Spoopy a little bit, but I like it. The next is why the chipmunk has black stripes. Why the chipmunk is black. Ooh, black stripes. No, that's not what that's supposed to say. Okay. One-handed typing. And two. So this is going to be different black stripe explanation probably from the woodpecker. But wouldn't it be funny if it was the same? Okay. At one time, the animals had tribes and chiefs like men, which we saw before. The porcupine was chief. Oh, yeah, there it is. It was when the porcupine was chief that a council was called. A great fire was lighted, for it was night. When all the animals were seated around the fire, the porcupine spoke. Friends, he said, we have met here to settle a great question. Shall we have night all the time or day? At this, all the animals began to talk at once. There was great confusion. The night animals kept shouting, night, night, always night. Others of the animals cried, day, day, always day. Still others called for day and night. There was so much noise that it could not be decided what was best. At last the animals grew tired of calling. One by one the voices grew fainter, and the shouting ceased. Of the night animals, the voice of the bear alone was heard. He had a big voice and still kept calling, night, night, always night. The animals who wanted day all the time and those who wanted day and night also became quiet, all except the chipmunk. He chattered on, we will have light, and then night. We will have light, and then night. Chee, chee, chee. Then the bear, too, became tired. He was fat and lazy and so sleepy. He thought he would take a short nap. But all night long the wide-awake little chipmunk kept up his song, for not a moment did he stop to rest. Out of the dark came his voice, sure and cheery. We will have a light, and then night. We will have a light, and then night. Chee, chee, chee. And before the animals knew it, the sun began to rise. At the first rays of light, the bear sat up, blinked, and rubbed his eyes. He saw that while he had slept, light had indeed come. He knew that he and the night animals had been beaten in the council, and that the chipmunk and the animals who wanted day and night had won. The bear was very angry. He struck at the chipmunk with his paw, but he was clumsy, and the chipmunk was spry. The chipmunk laughed and sprang into a hole of the hollow tree near by. But those black stripes on the chipmunk's back show where the paw of the black bear touched him as he slipped into the tree. Ever since this council and the little chipmunk called so long and loud for light and night, we have had day and night. Well, there you go. That's the end of that one. So we can thank Chipmunk for having both instead of just ever light or ever dark. Ooh, this little image is very similar to the drawing of the boys as we had with the game of ball before. That'll be interesting. Yes, thank the chipmunk, a hero. Hey, Cage Nightwind, welcome. We are reading a book called Stories the Iroquois Tell Their Children. Yeah, and we're just going through a bunch of these little stories. The next one is How Two Indian Boys Settled a Quarrel. I'm excited. And I will say, I definitely wouldn't be personally choosing to say, like I'd be saying indigenous and stuff myself, modern times, but this book was from 1917, and it did come straight from the mouths of indigenous people, so, you know, I'm just reading what they put, and they said it in perfectly positive meanings. And I'm not exactly a stranger, so I think they'd be fine with me doing that. But we'll probably find out way down the line in the future when somebody yells at me or something. Quarrel. Or people are like, no, you're fine. I don't know. I got the tail end of that one. Oh, it's all fine. A funny tail end because it's a little chipmunk with his little tails. Yeah, different time then and all. And lots of people, you know, still claim it. You know, it came from a very, very freaking stupid misunderstanding. Freaking Columbus, the dumbass. Thinking thinking we was Indian. Oh my god. But it's been used enough as negative that, people kind of don't use it. It's debatable to use it or not. Anyway. Yeah. Fun story times that aren't terribly fun with that little interjection. No, he thought it was India and he wanted spices. And he thought the world was pear-shaped and not a globe. Just a complete dumbass. And then also he was a murderous R-worder and vile being in general. But anyway. Yay! How two Indian boys settled a quarrel, right? How do. I don't know how that ended up there. You didn't see it. But the word quarrel was interrupted by an 8 and then later a 7. And that was not what we wanted. Okay. What a buffoon. Yeah, he was a buffoon. Most explorers were sent back. What was this were sent back that day? Explorers? Exploreries? Like explorers? Yeah, they chose their stories, so they got to say all the nice things about themselves. And it was interesting how map makers decided who to accredit, who got to places first. Like we say, or we used to be told that the buffoon there, quote unquote, discovered America or whatever, but then it's called America. Wouldn't it be called Columbus? Columbus land or something? But it was just because this map maker was like, I think this guy should count first or something like that, and then spread it out everywhere. And stuff like that. People just decided what they wanted to make important. So funny. Yeah. White men, I don't know. Anyway. How two Indian boys settled a quarrel. Yeah, no, he absolutely didn't discover it in any way, shape, or form by any of the lengths, but yeah. Other people were telling that the same map makers, like, yeah, it was that guy. And then they were like, oh no. Anyway, yeah. Flying Squirrel and Lightning Bow were two little Indian boys. They lived by Singing River, and they played from sunrise to sunset. They were as happy as the day was long. In the summer, they fished and swam in Singing River, and they shot their arrows into chipmunk and woodpecker holes. Sometimes they played dodging arrows, a game their mother had taught them when they were very young. In the winter, they jumped into fleecy snowdrift and rolled until their little bronze bodies took on a red raspberry tint. Then they would send their snow snakes skimming over the hard crust of snow. And then there's an image, and I think that's what snow snakes are. I think they're just sticks, basically, but I don't know. Oh no, wait, here it says. Snow snakes were small rods of wood polished smooth with resin, oil, or wax. They could be thrown long distances. Long Moose, Lightning Bow and Flying Squirrel's father, could throw a snow snake 1.5 miles over the crust of snow. But the snow snakes he used were 8 feet long and tipped with lead. He's a unit in the... Oh, yeah. Very, very fair for them to do that. Yeah, well, but it's not a spear. It's not like it's pointy to stab. It's just a stick to shoot across. It's a game. It was the moon of berries. So, that's different times. It's like the month So it's of berries, which means that its berries were in season. It was the moon of berries. 6 times had Flying Squirrel and Lightning Bow seen the berry moon hang her horn in the night sky, and not once in all their lives had they quarreled. Oh no, I think this is always play ones. When it's tipped with lead, I don't think it's exactly pointy. It might have just been to be, because it's called snow snakes. That's what they're for. I think it's just that the tipped with lead one is like so that they have harder points so that it can go farther. So the story is like Dad can do it really long, but the deal there is that, he's got the professional stuff. I think that's what it is. I would guess that. Yeah, so they haven't actually fought, and here they are in the berry moon. One morning, Flying Squirrel and Lightning Bow planted oh, okay. Well, you can keep lurking. You don't ever have to be very active. I love seeing you too. Everybody, I love seeing in chats, but you don't have to. Okay, one morning, Flying Squirrel and Lightning Bow planned a foot race. 7 times they were to run. 3 times Flying Squirrel had made the goal first. 3 times Lightning Bow had outrun him. So it's down to the last one. The 7th race was claimed by each. No one saw them run, so no one could decide the game, and they fell to quarreling. Yeah, that'll be it. Louder and louder their voices were raised. More and more angry they grew. White Fawn, their mother, was baking cornbread on the coals of the wigwam fire. The angry voices reached her ears. She stepped to the door. "For shame," she called. "Go and set up your sticks." Then she showed Lightning Bow and Flying Squirrel how to set up 3 sticks so they would stand for many days. "Now go into the wood, set up your sticks, and leave your quarrel there," she said. When the moonberry, not the boonberry. Oh, you know those words where you get it all switched around. Anyway, when the berry moon has passed, you shall return and see if the sticks are still standing. If they lean toward the rising sun, Lightning Bow was right. If they lean towards the setting sun, Flying Squirrel won. If they have fallen down, neither was right and neither won. Lightning Bow and Flying Squirrel went into the wood and set up their sticks. Then they began to throw balls with willow wands, and soon they were happy again. So that's just a great, go leave your problems out there in the woods. But okay. The sun had risen and set many times. The berry moon had passed. It was the thunder moon, when White Fawn said to Lightning Bow and Flying Squirrel, "Today you may go into the wood and see if your sticks are still standing." Hand in hand, the 2 little Indian boys ran into the wood. They found only a heap of rotting sticks. Everybody saying nice things to Cage Nightwind? Yeah, good. Go sleep well, Cage Nightwind. Hand in hand, they went and found the rotting sticks. Flying Squirrel and Lightning Bow stood and looked at the sticks. They thought and thought. "What did we set up the sticks for?" Each asked the other. And for the life of them they could not remember what they had quarreled about and why they had set up the sticks. That's a really cute story. I like that story a lot. Go put your problem in the woods and you'll forget about it. You won't even remember what you're upset about. Good mom move for sure. There, you got some parenting advice from that story. Alright. Gonna see how far we are in these stories. Okay. Well, okay, we can do a few more. I don't know how long the last of the stories are, because I haven't scrolled that far down. But we are over half now of all the stories. And I'm sure I'll read the rest of these tomorrow. And then that will be what I read for y'all before I come back after my trip north. And then I'll probably do spooky stories. I'll do creepypasta again. Or we did find a new collection of the same books, right? Or the same sort of stuff. Oh, well, they'll be up, but I I'm just glad you got your stuff sorted. Yeah. Yeah, you can watch them. I think it's important to look after you first and then you can do these stuff. Yeah, we had a book that this one that I'm reading referred to, and there's a bunch of legends in here. And it is Myths of the Iroquois, and it seems to have a whole heckin' bunch of stuff. Similarly, short stories. So we could end up coming back to Iroquois stories later. But then, yeah, it'll be probably creepypasta and the old, classic fairy tale website as well that we can do. How the annoyance with the Pokemon going beats down. You mean the present that I'm making? I got some good distance. I got some stuff sorted, but there's still a lot to do. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I have to focus on that. Otherwise, I'd be helping more with Vetster sorting out the Discord, and I'd be doing the About Me section. I'm trying to make things so that it looks pretty and gets it all done up. Like real streamers, quote unquote, do. But I'll get there. Yeah, I still got a bit to go with that little guy, but his face is done, and that's an accomplishment for sure. And all the little other pieces of him. Yeah, well, the people that have been doing it longer and such, and have a bunch of people that would bug them for a Discord. I've got a little handful of you guys bugging me, but not a bunch. And like the stuff that I've been worrying about with Fetzer, we probably don't have to worry about in this little group. But if it became a big group, we definitely want these things in place. So that's what we're doing. And I'll get that sort of stuff more properly figured out another time after I'm back. But yeah. Oh, okay. You got it. Deal. Thank you, Dumda. Alright. Yeah. The next story is how mice overcame the warriors. Which sounds freaking awesome, honestly. I think that sounds like a great story. Badass little mice. Yeah. Oh, no, not how T-mice. How mice overcame the warriors, yeah. Oh, yes, I have to take a picture of that for you guys at the end and send it. Well, I've got one on my phone, and I can send that to the Discord eventually. I can do that. I could put that in the little stream. And I was going to show you the little murder chicken, too, because it looks kind of like the Psyduck with this little knife. I'll send those in to the Discord once we've got stuff. I'll have to figure out what, I referred to it when we were talking about the emotes. But yeah, Fatster, we'll have to have a spot where that is an appropriate place to put it. Maybe creations, handicrafts, crafts, handmade, something like that. That'll be a channel. I don't know. Anyway, I will do that. Art channel. Yep, there you go. You got better brain right now than me. Mine's barely running together. Whatever mouse is at the hamster wheel is like taking a break. Yeah. You're amazing for it, Petster. You really are. But we don't need to rush about it. I'll make sure that I've got photos of it. And I probably won't have a full picture of it until after I get back from my trip, because I have to actually put it together once I'm up north. So yeah. Have a good trip up north. Yeah. I've already assigned you guys as mods, and I think I'll be posting my rules, and if ever someone's like really concerning me, I'll either boot them or you can tell me, "Hey, is this person concerning?" And I can be like, "Yeah, it's time to boot them." And if people are like, "I don't know," and we're all kind of like, we'll talk to each other basically. We'll have the Discord and be able to be like, "Yo, should we be doing something about that?" And then we will. It'll be like that. In fact, when I sent the rules idea to Fetster, the first thing is I was like, "Remember, this is my stream or server or whatever, and I will get rid of whoever I need to." I put little emojis with each little rule, and I did a middle finger up emoji next to that one because I'm trying to claim that energy of I will remove you, but I don't want to. Anyway, so that'll be the energy. I do have Stream Elements. I haven't really done much. I think the only thing I used it for was this chat overlay that we see right now. Well, if I know that we have to get rid of them, I will just boot them. It shouldn't be a problem. I'll just, like, you can probably ban someone, right? You can block them from a channel. It wouldn't be a problem. You want to be the troublemaker? Well, I hope you're not, because then I'd have to get rid of you, and I don't want to get rid of you. Yeah, warnings for the less. Yeah, for sure. You just got to be careful with how you word warnings sometimes, because sometimes if you give a warning, people can then take that as like, well, then now I'm gonna escalate things. It's like, no, it is the opposite. Choose the opposite, please. Yeah, sure. I will. Oh, I will have to figure that out. I will note that. I will do a note here. Stream Elements as bot. How do I do that? Stream Elements as mod on Twitch. I'm not sure entirely how to do that, but I will be looking into it. Yeah. Okay. Where was I? Oh, we had this whole chat with that title up. Oh no. That's not how that's supposed to go. Anyway, okay. I think I'll probably just do this one and a couple more, and then we'll wrap up. But here is how mice overcame the warriors. Once, a tribe of the Iroquois became very warlike and cruel. Remember what I said before? People be calling each other out. Oh yeah, no worries. Thanks, Cage Nightwind. You can check right out and go back to sleepy vibes. Okay. These warriors thought only of the war dance. Ooh. They forgot to give thanks for the sweet waters of the maple and for the planting season. Neither did they remember to praise the Great Spirit in song and dance for the juicy strawberries and the waving green corn, as once they had done. To fight was the only desire of their lives, the one thought that filled their minds. They boasted that none were so fierce and bloodthirsty as they. Our arrows fall like leaves of the pine, they said, and always are they red with blood. Our war shirts have many scalp locks on them. One day a dispute arose with a neighboring tribe of their nation. The peace wigwam was not far away, but these warriors would not take their quarrel to it, as was the custom. The fighting Indians would have none of the peace wigwam. Let the women and papooses, that's the word, sit in the sun at the door of the peace wigwam, they said scornfully. Chiefs are for the war path. A fierce cry was raised, and the war dance was begun. The chiefs painted their bodies, donned their war shirts, sharpened their tomahawks, tipped their arrows, and tightened their bowstrings. But by the time they had made ready, the sun had set, and the blanket of darkness had fallen upon them. A council was quickly called. It was decided that they would not start to war until moonrise, so the warriors lay down to sleep. As they slept, another council was called. This was not a council of men, but of mice. From long and short trails they came, hundreds and hundreds of mice, for all had heard the warriors boast of their strength. Now, said the mice, we will show these boasters how weak are men and how strong are little mice. When all the mice were gathered about the council tree, the leader spoke thus. My brothers, listen. The Great Spirit did not give men strength that they would fight and kill one another. The Great Spirit did not make men powerful that they should strike down and kill the weaker animals. Let us show these fierce warriors that it is the weak who are strong and the strong who are weak. Let every mouse destroy at least one weapon before the moon shall rise. At this, all the mice set to work. Snap, 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 went the bowstrings on all sides. Then the sharp little teeth began on the feathers that winged the poisoned arrows. Soon the feathers lay in bits around the ground. Next, the deerskin cords that bound the slingshots were cut in two, and before the moon had risen, every weapon had been made useless. Every Indian had been disarmed, and the mice had scampered away. The warriors awoke. Again the war cry was raised. They sprung to their feet and seized their weapons, but found them useless. Their bows had no strings, their arrows no wings, their slings no cords. The warriors who boasted that they were the strongest and fiercest on the earth had been made powerless by mice. The end. That's a cute one. Reminds me of an old song that was like, everybody go to war and then nobody chooses to show up, and it's just the people who called the war. But it was cute. Oh, okay. The next one is why crows are poor. Ooh, am I a crow? Sounds like I'm a crow. Victory for the mice. Yes. No cooperating. Why? No, not all caps. Jeez. Don't do that. No. There. Am I a raven? Yeah. Crows are cool though. And I will say, sometimes people be saying crow when they mean raven. I don't know. Maybe this happened. Probably not with this story. They're probably good enough to know the difference. And all the corvids hang out together. It's fine. Okay. Why crows are poor? Why are crows poor? Why? That's not how that looks. Okay. After the Great Spirit had made the red children and had given them this beautiful land in which to live, he sent them a great gift, the gift of corn. Ga ga. I'm not entirely sure how to separate those two different syllables, but I'm sure that they should sound significantly different. Ga ga? I don't know. Ga ga. The crow, anyway, claims it was he who brought this gift. He says he was called to the wigwam of the Great Spirit in the sky. A grain of corn was placed in his ear, and he was told to carry it to earth, to the red children. Therefore, as Ga Ga brought the gift, he claims he has a right to pull what corn he needs. Ga Ga says he does not steal corn, he simply takes what belongs to him, his rightful share. And surely Ga Ga is not greedy. He never takes more corn than he wants for himself. He never hides or stores it away. He takes just what he wishes to eat at the time and no more. for crows never think of tomorrow. You're calling the crow dumb. Anyway, in summer they are happy in the cornfields, guarding the roots from insect enemies and pulling the tender blades whenever they are hungry. But when winter comes, the crows are sad. Many councils are held. Sometimes a council tree will be black with crows. All are so poor and hungry that they get together to try to plan a better way to live. There is much noise and confusion at a crow council, for all the crows talk at once, all saying, "No bird is so poor as the crow, for he is always hungry. Next summer let us plant and raise a big crop of corn and gather and save it for the winter. Next winter crows will not be hungry. They will have food. We will no longer take from the fields of the red children just enough corn for a meal today. We will raise our own corn and lay by a store for the winter." And having agreed that this was a wise plan, the council ends. A few days later, another council will be called. At this, the crows will plan how and where to plant the corn. Some will be appointed to select a field, others to find seed, and still others to plant and tend the corn. But alas, when spring comes and skies are blue and the sun shines warm, the crows forget the hunger of winter and the councils in the tree. They remember only that the skies are blue and the sun shines warm, and now there is plenty of corn. Happy and content, they walk up and down the fields of the red children. We have all we want today," they say. "Why should we think of tomorrow or next winter? We have had a good meal this morning, and we are sure of one tonight. Is not this enough for a crow? What more can he ask?" And the next winter comes, and he finds the crows as poor and as hungry as they were the last. Again they are holding noisy councils in the council tree. Again they are laying plans for the great crop of corn that they will raise next summer. The end. So yes, they are calling crows a little bit dumb. "We only got 2 brain cells," they say. "What do you expect?" Okay, I think this is the best story to maybe end on, I think. This looks cute. Okay. It's called, I'll finish. I'll unveil it. I won't let you know. You'll find out when it's on the screen, because it's cute. You see it more like discussing is one thing, but if one does not act on it, that's the only thing one has. Yeah, I get that. The way they kind of said it, I think what made me think that they're a little bit calling crows dumb is that they always forget. And that they never think of tomorrow. They just don't have the brain to do that, is kind of the way it read to me. But I see what you're saying. It's fair. It's good. Okay. And here's the next story. It is Why the Indian Loves His Dog. The dog is the Indian's best friend. He is the comrade by day and the protector by night. As long as the Indian's dog has strength, he will fight for his friend. The Indian says this is how the dog came to take his part. An Indian and his dogs went into the woods to hunt. It was in the days when dogs and men could talk together and each understood the language of the other. When they reached the woods, the dogs began to talk with the Indian. They told him many wonderful things about the woods which he did not know. They taught him many tricks of the chase, how to scent and track game, and where to look for trails. The man listened to what the dogs said, and he did as they told him. Soon the sledge which the dogs had drawn to the woods was piled high with deer and other game. Never had the Indian's arrows brought him so much game. Never had he met with such success in hunting. He was so pleased that he said to the dogs, "Always shall I talk with you, give ear to what you say, and be one of you." "Ah, but listen," said the dogs. "If you wish to be one of us, you must live under the law of dogs, not men. Animals have laws different from those of men. When two dogs meet for the first time, they try their strength to see which is the better dog. Men do not fight when strangers meet, they shake hands. As we fight strange dogs, so you too must fight strange men to see which is the best man, if you are to live under the law of dogs." The man said he would think it over, and at sunrise give his answer. Indians always sleep before deciding a question. Next morning the man said he would live under the law of animals and fight strange men. The following day, the man made ready to leave the woods. From the basswood he made a strong harness for the dogs, so that they could draw the load of game back to the camp for him. When the sun was high, the man and the dogs started with the sledge load of game. They had not gone far before they saw two strange Indians coming. "Now," said the dogs to the man, "remember you are living under the dog's law. You must fight these strange men." The man attacked first one Indian and then the other. At last both turned on him, and when they left him, he was nearly dead. At this the dogs took a hand. They leaped upon the Indians and drove them from the woods. Then they came back to where their friend lay on the ground and began to talk with him and lick his face. The man could not speak for some time, but when his voice came to him, he said to the dogs, "No longer do I wish to live under the law of animals. No more shall I fight strangers. From this time I shall shake hands with strangers and bid them welcome. From this time I shall be a man and live under the law of men." "Then," said the dogs sadly, "we shall no longer be able to talk with you and tell you the things that we know, but we will always stand by you. We will be your friends, and we will fight for you when you need us, as you did today." This is why the Indian and his dog are now unable to speak each other's language. This is also why an Indian's dog will fight to the death for his friend. Not only is the dog a true friend to the Indian in this world, but in the next as well. It seems that the soul of an Indian on his journey to the happy hunting ground must cross a deep, swift-running stream. On either side of this dark river there stand two dogs who hold in their teeth a great log upon which the souls pass. The soul of the Indian who has been kind to his dog crosses the log easily, for the dogs stand guard. As the soul of such an Indian reaches the river, they say, "This Indian was kind to his dog. He gave him his own food, and the dog always had a warm place by his fire. We will help this Indian to cross." Then the dogs grip the log firmly in their teeth and hold it steady while the soul of the kind Indian passes over. But if the soul of an Indian who has been unkind to his dog comes to the river, the dogs say, "This man was cruel to his dog. He gave his dog no place by the fire. He beat him. He let him go hungry. This man shall not cross." Then the dogs grip the log tightly in their teeth, and when the soul of the unkind Indian is halfway across, they turn it quickly to one side, and the soul is thrown into the deep, dark river. Many an Indian has been kind to his dog that he might take sure of a safe crossing on that log. The end. There you go. That's the story of how natives, peoples, lost the ability to talk to their dogs. Yes, appreciate your good boys. The pups and doggos. That's very sweet. But I think that will be the last story of tonight. And I will save the rest of the stories for tomorrow. I think that this will be a good amount of stories. Yeah. Might actually be not enough, but we'll find out tomorrow probably. Okay, rolling back. Yeah, I think the rest of them are actually pretty short. but we'll find out. Okay. Well, thank you guys. Thank you all for being in the stream today. We're chatting with me. I'll wrap up tonight. I'll see you in the stream tomorrow. Yeah, perfect timing. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow, and then that will be it for a couple weeks while I disappear. And when I come back, I'll pick stories right back up. And if you have suggestions on things, we can do that. I know I'm not going to be able to raid again. I will try raiding when I get back, because I think I will be old enough account by then. And then we will try raiding then. Yeah, I'm excited to get back here to them. Yeah, I'll definitely be old enough for that. And then we'll do raids more often. I'll just be a little newbie raider, but I'll do it. I hope you guys all sleep well or have a good day based on your time zones. Happy time zone. And thank you for being here. Thank you for the help that you're doing, Vetster. We give excitements for seeing that eventually, and good luck with that work thing. Thank you, Tetrahedron, for coming back. And I'm ready for bed, I think. Alright, sleep well, everybody, or have a good day. Bye.